What is the strategy that you believe in when it comes to building a business?
Definitely events, I would say. But otherwise, I do love collaborating with people as well. These collaborations are so powerful because I'm exposed to your audience and you're exposed to mine. And I think that that's such a beautiful way to not only create impact, but also grow your audiences.
Sophia Rose Bernardi, who is going to tell you all the things when it comes to messaging, building their legacy, understanding your personal brand and being authentic as well. Who are you and what do you bring the magic into the world with business coaching?
I'm a mindset and business coach, and I help ambitious female coaches to scale their coaching business to consistent 30K months and beyond the simple and sustainable ways. I find that so many coaches overcomplicate it and stay stuck and make things so much harder than they need to be. And so I really want to strip it back for people and help coaches to create an aligned marketing strategy that feels good for them, because when it feels good, when they have clarity, when they have confidence, that's when they're going to skyrocket.
You know, I always like to finish the episode with this one question, and that's that one key that opens up their empire. That piece of advice, what would that key be? Want to start doing virtual events and build a business in the online space? This episode is for you. Hello, I'm your host, Tamara Meyer with Keys to the Queendom. This season 3 is all to do with involvement in business, relationship growth, healing, and I'm honestly so fucking grateful. I've got some epic friends, and this is a guest speaker who is in the same mentorship as myself, and she has honestly been so welcoming to come on board and share her story and how she helps clients create multi-six figures in virtual events. Now, I started my business doing virtual events. I started with masterclasses after masterclasses after masterclasses, and that's how I built Queendom. And that's how I also built my incredible membership empire. Now, Sophia Rose Bernardi, who is going to tell you all the things when it comes to messaging, you know, building their legacy, understanding your personal brand and being authentic as well, and really showing the work when it comes to building a business. She shares some incredible tips as well that I think is going to be great for anyone starting out, or whether you're stuck at a certain revenue goal and you want to get to that 30K month. This episode is for you. Now, if you're new to my world and you haven't quite yet really known what this incredible podcast is about, it's this. It's an entrepreneurship podcast. It's a podcast to give you the keys to your queendom, for you to have the advice that you need when I didn't have the advice when I started a business. There are episodes on here to do with the mistakes I made, the challenges I faced, the hardships. It's all of the stories that I have faced and what I've done to change it as well. We also have epic guest speakers based on my networks that I have been able to bring forward, because we really are big on building an impact and creating a legacy. Now, if this is really enticing you and you want to continue to learn and absorb and be in my world, I would really highly recommend that you subscribe to this podcast, because one, it allows us to grow, it allows us to get the message out there, and more importantly, it allows us to build more of a community and a wider audience as well. It allows us to get great guest speakers like you're about to listen to Sophia's as well. Now, we only ask for that one thing, because we are so big on giving and we're so big on building our community. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a review. Make sure you also share the episodes. What are the ones that you love? What are the ones that you're really frothing over? Please let me know. And if you are wanting to get to know me more and what I do for my clients, then we are offering free 30-minute growth map plan calls. That is going to give you the direction you need in order to move the needle with your business. There's absolutely no obligation whatsoever. Yet if you feel chosen to want to look into more of what that looks like and what it would be like working with me, then all you need to do is book that free call and we can have a conversation as well. So without further ado, this is Sophia Rose Bernardi on Keys to the Queendom. Sophia Bernardi, welcome to Keys to the Queendom, beautiful girl. I'm extremely excited for the girls to learn about what you do and why you are here. First and foremost, how are you on this Monday?
I'm really good, thank you. Very, very spacious calendar today and this week, so it's very nice.
Just to give you girls context for those listening, this beautiful soul and I have been wanting to do a podcast for so long, and now we're We're finally here. And I don't know if you know this, beautiful girl, but our theme for this season is evolvement, how to evolve. So I always begin with this question: how are you evolving right now? What are you moving through?
I love that question. What a great question. What am I evolving through right now? I think this year in general for me has really been about trusting myself and simplifying. So I think, I've learned so much over the years about growth and scaling and what you can and could or should do. And I've gone down so many different pathways and I've learned so much. And this year's been really about, I know how to grow and how to scale, but what feels really right for me and really trusting my decisions rather than always going externally to make certain decisions. And so I think that's been a huge season for me, and how I've evolved is when I trust myself and go all in on that, that's actually when it works. So that's probably what I would say.
Can I just say that resonates so much with myself, in terms of evolving and trust, because you and I are in the same mentorship. We both understand business and scaling. And what I love about you is that you are simplifying your incredible business, and you are oh shit, sorry, I've just lost you.
Oh.
My computer just went. As I said, you are someone that we already look up to. The girls have witnessed what you do and what you're teaching. But for those listeners who don't know what you do and who you are, who are you and what do you bring the magic into the world with business coaching?
Yeah, so I'm a mindset and business coach, and I help ambitious female coaches to scale their coaching business to consistent 30K months and beyond the simple and sustainable way. So I'm all about simplicity, which, as I even just shared, it's kind of this never-ending evolvement and journey. There's always different things we can simplify, and we might scale in one area and it might get a little bit messy and we have to learn and navigate that, and then we can simplify it. So it's this never-ending journey really, but I find that so many coaches overcomplicate it and stay stuck and make things so much harder than they need to be. And so I really want to strip it back for people and help coaches to create an aligned marketing strategy that feels good for them, because when it feels good, when they have clarity, when they have confidence, that's when they're going to skyrocket.
And can I ask, my love, because I remember when we did a Q&A with you and you were talking about the virtual events, which, by the way, I've gone back to doing it because of your incredible story. Yeah, because how I started, and this is why I'm going to ask the question, I did a masterclass or a virtual event every month. But what I did was I kept doing new topics, new strategies, new this, and I overburnt myself and overwhelmed myself based on that. So what is it that you teach when it comes to simplifying your marketing strategy and your business?
Yeah, so events is a big part of how I attract and nurture and convert leads into clients. And for me, that's my simple and sustainable way. I teach my clients a variety of different ways because there's not just one way to grow, but a lot of clients do like to model what I'm doing because that's what attracted them to me in the first place. And they typically found me or purchased from me after watching one of my events, so that they want to, implement that as well. But everyone's in different seasons of business as well. So I do teach other things, but I love events because, when you do just follow the same process every time, then you're not going to burn yourself out. But I totally can understand if you're doing it every month and you're trying to reinvent the wheel every single time, that eventually that can get a little bit tiring. And so I also did that when I first started. I would do one roughly every month, more or less, and I would reinvent the wheel every time. And I luckily didn't get too exhausted, but what happened to me was I then at the end of every event didn't know the piece that was actually doing really well, because I was always changing things all of the time and I just put unnecessary amounts of extra work on my plate. Whereas when I decided, to just do the same event more or less every single time, we started to be able to track the data a lot better on okay, when we make this little tweak or we do this, that's what increases conversions. Whereas when you change everything every time, it's a little bit more difficult to know what's the pieces that's working here versus not. So that's why we run more or less the same event. We might tweak the title or improve the script or change up the branding, but the context and the intention description, and a lot of the copy is like more or less the same, just with little baby tweaks every time. And that's working smarter, not harder.
That resonates, babe. And you know what? I find one thing I just got from that is changing something small each time as opposed to all of the things. And I find when I started my business, I did all the things, changed everything, and you lose sight of who you are, what your messaging is, and also who your ideal clients is. So what are some of the things you really look for, or what really supports your simplifying and your events when it comes to speaking to your ideal client and getting really clear on your messaging?
Yeah, so I have this document on Google Docs with my ideal client, where I just have really taken the time to put in a lot of specific messaging on there around like things I hear potential clients say, or ideal clients. I'm like, I just take note of all these things, and I actually get a lot of market research when I run the events itself, because a lot of people will comment and they will say what's resonating with them and things like that. And so something I've created over the years, and just have all this information on pain points and challenges and desires that my target audience has. And I make sure that my messaging in my content, my emails, and my events aligns with that ideal client. So I do that for starters, and that makes things really easy because I'm just taking stuff from this one document. And then the other piece is I teach this concept called like having a signature method. To other people, it's, called a genius model or whatever people call it. I call it a signature method, and it's typically like 3 core pillars that you really believe in need to be implemented and mastered to get a specific result. And I also use that. So my whole goal in my event is sell people on my signature method. And that's what my clients are doing as well. And that's what makes it so easy, is that, you can change the title and update everything, but as long as you're getting people sold on this unique method that only you have, then what happens at the other end of the event is people want to work with you and not someone else, because only you have that method. So that's really what I'm doing.
I love that. Beautiful. We have like a master your message foundation we teach our clients. And even what you said before, like you have a document where you literally go through, as you said, years and years of just understanding what people have said to you. It's conversation. I really love that, because I think a lot of people, and quote me if I'm wrong, they'll create the content, they'll create the offer without doing the work. And so my question to you is, what is the strategy that you believe in when it comes to building a business?
So the strategy I believe in is like definitely events, I would say. But otherwise, I do love collaborating with people as well. I do think that that's another way you can work smarter, not harder. Like even what we're doing right now, obviously we want to help each other's audiences and we want to create impact, and us two just an excuse to connect, really. But there's this beautiful flow-on effect that happens as a result of us doing this. Is my audience is going to be exposed to you and be able to get to know you and all of the, beautifulness that you have to offer that I maybe don't have to offer, or am unable to articulate in the way that you do, and vice versa. Yeah. And that's a great thing, because we are not for everyone, and we would have potential clients on either end that would resonate with one of us. And so rather than growing your audience like one person at a time on your own, like these collaborations are so powerful, because we're going to take the time now, like half an hour on each side, and on the other end of that, like I'm exposed to your audience and you're exposed to mine. And I think that that's such a like beautiful way to like not only create impact but also grow your audiences.
And I love that too, because one of the biggest things we believe in is building community, but part of what we teach too is the collaborations, right? Because I feel what I had once been told was you can't work with people that are in the same field as you. And I beg to differ, because I believe there's enough for all of us to win.
100%.
Which, like, what I love about you and the fact that you've helped myself and coming into my space and doing this collaboration is that you are a point of difference, because you're owning who you are and you are a personal brand itself. And so leading into that, how have you been able to navigate how you're a point of difference in the online space? What's your unique attribute, and how can you support listeners right now when it comes to Yes, I've got the event. Yes, I've got the messaging, but how do I be different to other people? Queen, how often have you said, I spent my whole life studying, I've been to school my whole life, and I've actually learned nothing that teaches me the tools and strategies to build a successful business in the outside world. You've probably spent thousands of dollars on courses, or you've heard fake news from business gurus. Well, I'm here to give this incredible news to everyone here right now that this is Queendom University. Get out of debt and actually start making money in the online space, knowing and having the foundations to build a successful business. Now, I'm talking because I have gone through the trenches. I have been a fitness coach, built my online business as a pro athlete, and now I am a business coach. You'll go from having absolutely no idea what your business is through, in the 8 weeks, learn the foundations of knowing what your purpose is, your vision and mission, and also understanding your business values with the execution to know what that business is. You'll also learn branding, social media, content strategy, marketing, and more importantly, how to sell. With Queendom University, it'll cut out the bullshit and remove all the fluff and get you working specifically on your business so you can execute this in 8 weeks to get ready to launch. I wanted you to have something where you get to access something straight away, where you get to fast track your growth, as well as remove any doubt, any overwhelming sensation or stress, or the question that everyone seems to ask, where do I begin? With Queendom University, you'll be able to build wealth, freedom, and at the end of the day, be an entrepreneur and be able to say, I have finally built my own thing, my own business. And I've stopped making money for someone else, and I'm now making money for my own empire. Queendom University.
Yeah, so that's why I'm such a big fan of creating a signature method, is because that's what makes you like very unique. Like no one else is going to have that. So you've got to know your ideal client, but you've also got to look at like, okay, when you take a step back on how you take your ideal client from A to B, what does that journey actually look like? And could you break that down into 2 or 3 or potentially even 4 core pillars with components within that, and that becomes your uniqueness. And then when you pair that with like your personality and your branding and everything like that, it's just this like beautiful thing, because people definitely buy us, but they also, like, you can't say that they also don't take into consideration like what it is you're teaching. I think both play a role. I definitely think people purchase from us because they love us and our energy and the lifestyle and results that we have. But if we can link that that's as a result of our method, then it's this beautiful thing. So I definitely think that's where unique messaging comes in from. And when you look at the best coaches and CEOs and experts out there, typically they started with this one thing and they exploded from there. Like even Tony Robbins, he didn't start out as this life coach that could solve any and all problems on the planet like he can today. He actually started out helping people with phobias and addictions, or one of the two anyways, and got so known for that it expanded from there. And so I think you want to like be an expert in one thing and like sell people on that, and then you can expand from there. And so my signature method that I believe is like required in order to scale is you need to have simple systems in place. Like just like a great house, it needs a really strong foundation, and you can't scale if you've got chaos in the back end of your business or no systems in place. Like you've got to have systems. You also need to have a sustainable strategy. Like if it's not sustainable, kind of like you said before, you're going to burn out, and then you're going to stop doing the thing that was working, but it just wasn't set up to be sustainable. So you've got to have that. And then you've got to have like a seamless sales process that doesn't make you feel salesy or sleazy, but actually it's very seamless. It works. It feels good for you and the buyer. So they're the 3 things that I believe in you've got to have. And when you've got that in place, you're going to scale.
I love, 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 love. And without giving away your signature method, because I definitely want my audience to look you up and work with you. What's a question you ask someone when they first want to work with you around finding out that pillar, or at least the 3? Like, what's your first step to finding that out?
Yeah,
without
so
giving it away.
no, yeah, I'm an open book here. So they're my three pillars, and like within each of the pillars, I have three components. So, for example, sustainable strategy is all about like attracting, nurturing, and converting. So I teach something called the Daily Lead Attractor, the weekly audience nurturer, and the hybrid funnel converter. They're like the three components I teach within that, because you need to have a way of attracting people, you need to have a way of nurturing them, and a way of converting them. Like that's the three processes. And so I'm not one of those coaches that says like this is the only way that you can grow, like you have to do podcast collaborations or you have to do events. I'm not like that, because I've been in a lot of programs like that and I felt trapped or boxed in, or if it felt unaligned, then it's like, well, then what do you do? So within, for example, the Daily Lead Attractor, I actually teach like so many different ways that you can attract leads, like organically and through collaboration. I don't really focus on paid ads, only because like whilst paid traffic is definitely a way, I got to over 1 million without it. And so I typically recommend that people, get really good at organic at the very least, because paid traffic will just enhance your current organic results. And so I teach organic and collaboration, and teach all of the ways within that you can do that. Like there's more than just one way to collaborate with people. You can do it on a podcast, but you can also do it in a joint workshop venture, or you could do it in a Facebook group, or, you could do an IG live. Like there's so many ways you can collaborate. So I love to give people the options and then give recommendations on what and how many things to choose, because you also don't want to just do all the things from day one, because then you're averagely doing everything. So I kind of teach it that way, so that there's like, when my clients are, creating their own marketing strategy from that lens, then they can't sit there and say, oh, this is not aligned with me, because it's like, well, you created it based on the options, all of the options that are provided out there. And so that it feels good for them, and they're going to commit to it because it feels good, and then they're more likely to get results, has been my experience.
So one thing I love that you said was there is no one way of strategy, right? And I love that, because that was something I was told years ago by a mentor, and I was like, interesting. But you also said paid advertising is not something you do. So I'd love to hear what your beliefs are when it comes to organic marketing, and what people need to do when it comes to going from 10 to that 30K marker. What's the thing that they're not prioritizing?
Yeah, so I'm not against paid traffic in any way. Like we now use ads to help generate more leads because we're in a position to do so. The only reason the only reason I don't teach it is just because I sometimes see people like not know their messaging or their ideal client, or have a no-brainer offer yet, and they're paying all this money on ads, but their funnel is really shitty. They're not clear on their ideal clients, and so what they're really doing is just putting money down the drain. So if you have rock solid foundations, you have the systems, you know how to sell, and all of those sorts of things, you can hold the amount of leads that come through when you pay for ads. Sure, no problem. But typically someone starting out or can't even sign clients organically, to get them to do paid ads is usually a big waste of money, because they're like paying money whilst things are broken and they're fixing things. I'd much rather you generate evidence that you have the confidence and you have the skill set to actually convert someone that comes your way from whatever mean they come to you from, and then pour ads on that, because you have evidence that you can do so. Whereas if you don't have the sales skills, or you don't have the systems, and you don't know how to have conversations, then paying for ads won't really help you. Like you'll just get these leads and they may not be quality, but you also won't leverage them very much. So that's why I like to teach organic and collaboration first. Once you've nailed that, if you're making consistent income and you have the desire and you can invest in ads, like go your hardest. But yeah, I was able to scale to 7 figures without it. And whilst that's not everyone's journey, that was mine. So I just want it to be evidence for people that like, hey, if you've been told by an ad or by someone that like the only way is through paid advertising, then again, that's just like not a fact. There's many ways. So that's just been my experience as well. That's really served me, because, I found that, even when we started ads at the beginning of this year, like we had a lot of things that were working. Like we had scaled to over 1 million, and still there were things that had to be upgraded and changed and improved in order for our ads to really do so well, because it is a little bit of a different game, because you're dealing with even colder people than organic.
Yeah.
So that's just been my journey, and that's why I love organic, because you can really test things for free.
And I love it, because we say the same thing, you know, once you nail organic marketing, then absolutely. But I think a lot of people see it as, well, it's not working organic, so I'm going to do ads. But as you said, it's mastering your message and getting really clear on your signature method, which is feeling so juicy with everything you're saying, beautiful girl. I want to bring forward a couple of cool things, because I feel it's so great that the audience understand how it is to show up authentically. And it's something we teach at our events. And I want to know, what does it mean for you to be your authentic self, and how do you show that in your business and in your personal life? Hey, beautiful kings and queens, are you right now in a space where you're ready to take action and build your business, yet you struggle where to begin? You're feeling stuck and overwhelmed with all the things you need to do when it comes to building a business. Build the business of your dreams in the online space and be in the arena of all the incredible, great humans out there that are building 7 to 8 figure businesses. Now, the foundations that I truly believe in that you are going to learn through this membership is sales, marketing, content creation, social media, money mindset, and of course, branding. Now, all of this will be accessible for you to be learning what is currently hot right now in the market and how you can create your own business and build a successful business in the online space. All you have to do right now is DM Empire in my Instagram or email myself and my team, and we will get the ball rolling so you can have your empire and start making moves in the online space.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think knowing your values and what's important to you is very important, because then you can make decisions from that lens. Like, I know that I love freedom, and I know that I love, being comfortable. I know that I love connection, or, I love my time and I love impact. Like, I know what's important to me, and any decisions that would maybe take away from that, I'm really intentional with that, or mindful of that when making decisions. So I think that's really helpful. And just auditing and asking yourself, like, is what you're putting out there in the world, like, in integrity with who you are and where you're at? Because integrity is a huge value of mine. And I see so many coaches, like, they've had one good week or month in their business, and all of a sudden they're a business coach helping people with that thing that they've done once. I know you've would have experienced people like that. And it's like, fuck, I don't understand like how people are like that. And so because I know that frustrates me so much, I really check myself of like, is what I'm putting out there something that I'm consistent with and I'm in integrity with? And if it's not, I absolutely won't do it. In terms of like how I show up online, like, this might be controversial, because I definitely hear some people say like, oh, you've got to show up and look presentable online and whatever. But I'm I'm all about that. But also, like, I'm in my everyday life, I don't put makeup on and wear high heels or blazers like every day. Like, and so if that's not who I am on a daily basis, then I shouldn't have to act like that on camera and then be another way off camera. Like, I'd much rather like there be consistency in how I talk and what I say and what I wear, like, across the journey, because otherwise people are going to get this version of me from social media and they're going to come into my program and I'm going to be another person, and that's where like a disconnect can come from. And so, I'm on this podcast and I'm just in a t-shirt, and I'm not even wearing pants right now. Like, I'm so chill.
Show us.
No, so I'm so chill, and like I just feel like, it would just be like not right of me to like pretend to be someone I'm not. But I know that that's controversial, because some people are like, no, like, you've got to like look the part and whatever. And I think there is some truth in that for sure, but you've also really got to be yourself as well. And I think some sort of nice medium is great. But I'd actually love to hear your take on that, to be honest.
It's everything I talk about at my event, because I used to show up as someone as I wasn't, and I used to hold back, and and it comes back to my dance days too. And look, I've got makeup on now and I'm wearing like a top and jeans, but if
that's you, then that's you. Like, that's not wrong. That's just you, Whereas that's just hard. Like, it's not like you'd have to pay me to put makeup on. Like I do it under rare circumstances.
I'm actually very excited to hear that you're not wearing any pants. So I fucking love that. But no, babe, I feel it's so important for the listeners to hear, because building a signature method is also based on who they are and what they believe in and who their authentic self is. And I just really resonate with that. And I've always felt you and I have had this beautiful friendship and connection. And I love that you share that, because I think so many people, when they start building businesses, and I used to do this, they look at other people and they copy and pretend. And what I'm working on is changing that so people can own who they are and step into that, because that's how you build a personal brand, but that's how you also build a really successful business. So I'm really grateful you shared that. I really felt called to ask this. I'm going a little bit off track, but again, I just want to bring forward something that would be really beneficial for the listeners on, now that you've spoken about your signature method and what you're evolving into, what you believe in, have there been anything of your story that you've never shared that you'd be open to sharing on our podcast? Because we're very big on storytelling, that may feel really called for you to bring up right now.
That's a really great question. I feel like I'm a fairly open book, so I think I'd be lying if I said I would have never shared this before. But I think something I'm happy to share that would hopefully help anyone in your audience to know, like, kind of even going off that conversation of like, you can be your complete self with whatever that looks like, whether that's makeup, not makeup, dressed up, not dressed up, whatever it looks like. I want that to be evidence that being yourself is how you make money. And also the vulnerable thing I'll share is that, like, my starting journey was not like rainbows, sunshine and butterflies and whatever. Like, you know, I started my business when I was 22 years old. Like, what 22-year-old has any idea what they're doing with themselves or with their life? And so I kind of just want that to be an example. Like, I started when I was 22. At the time, I was still babysitting kids every day after school. I was working at a cafe. I was cleaning rich people's floors and walking their dogs and decluttering homes. Like, I was doing some random stuff to make an extra $20 an hour. And I had no certification. I've never been to university. Like, I was, you know, not sure what I was doing with my life. And I started right before the global pandemic hit. And I just kind of want that to be evidence that, like, it doesn't matter what your circumstances look like right now. If you really, really want something and you make that decision, then you can turn your life around. Like, there is no way, if I look back to 5 years ago or even 4 years ago, that I would believe where I am right now would be my reality. Like, I have a clear calendar most weeks, whereas, you know, 5 years ago, I was working 60-hour weeks. And the fact that, you know, I make, like, on average over a year, like $1,000 to $2,000 a day. And that used to take me, like, literally working 60 hours for a whole week to not even make that, like, is just wild to me. And I travel multiple times a year and just have so much abundance. But my journey did not look like that 4 years ago. Like, my life is unrecognizable, but my values and my core personality is the same. And it's just a result of, like, always going all in, investing heavily in myself, taking action, opening up, doing the inner work. Like, you know, I come from a background where my parents have no money. You know, my dad had a really severe gambling addiction, which, you know, broke my whole family. And I had to do a lot of work on myself, like, just in that process, which is kind of what led me to probably coaching in the beginning, because it was through doing so much personal development work that I realized that this was even a career path. And on my own transformation, I was like, wow, I want to help other people with this as well. So if that's at all helpful for your audience, then I hope that they can just take away, like, whatever your background looks like, if you really want this, you can make it happen.
Thank you for sharing, my love. And I don't think, you know, we've got some very similar stories there, and I think that's why we connect so much. So thank you for that, my gorgeous, gorgeous human being. And, you know, I always like to finish the episode with this one question, and that's giving the audience, which you've already given so many amazing advice, that one key, that opens up their empire, that piece of advice. What would that key be?
I would say, as basic as this is, like, kind of going back to what I just said, like, if it's important enough to you, like, make a decision that right now that's going to actually align with your goals in your future? And you can ask yourself that all of the time, like, what can I do right now that's going to move me forwards towards my goals? And whilst that's so simple, I think it's so underrated. Like, we always tell ourselves, like, maybe later, tomorrow, next week, you know, when I'm ready, when circumstances align. And it's like, actually, like, you don't need to have done all of the inner work before you can take a piece of action. You don't need to be ready before you can move. Like, it's often just a decision, and that might be frustrating for some people, but also really empowering for others to realize, like, you don't have to wait. Like, you can actually just make a decision right now. That's what I would say.
That's big dick energy right there, gorgeous girl. Thank you, my love. And for those who want to work with you, want to find where, how, what can you drop for the listeners on where your stuff is, my love?
Awesome. So come say hi to me on Instagram and let me know what your biggest takeaway from this episode was. I love connecting with you. I'm at Sophia Rose Bernardi. You're probably a podcast listener if you're listening here. So come check out Rising Coaches with Sophia Bernardi, because I will be interviewing Tam on there and you'll love that episode. And then also, I've only got one way people can work with me, but there's a few different tiers within that. It's called Scale School. And if you want to learn more about that, just like come chat to me and I'll send you all the details.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, my beautiful girl. And for all the amazing listeners, this woman is a true testament to her work. Please make sure you follow her. And everyone else listening, this is Tamara Meyer, and I will see you next week on Keys to the Queendom. Mwah.
Thank you.
Amen for playing big today with authenticity, because here is the thing. It's not about being perfect on stage, perfectly put together, which is important, yes. It's about being who you are. What if right now, because of today, in a year's time, you could look back and go, I did that scary thing. And that's a year from now where you went and made that decision. I'm going all in, committed to doing the work. I'm committed because this is so much more than me. It's not about me anymore.